Okay, question number 2 is related, so this is a good follow-up. Where did the pterodactyls live on the ark?
It's not related.
I'm so glad. I mean, this was actually my question.
Was it like Jurassic World on the boat, on that boat? This is great.
Gosh, I have no idea.
I've
I
been
would
look-
love
I've
to
been
see
looking
what
forward
this
to this
ark.
one.
I
So
would love to
wanna
see what
follow.
this ark looked like.
Right.
That would have been the stinkiest ark. I would have probably vomited several times on that. And a more serious answer, I don't know how this was set up. This is a great question that we're probably never going to know the answer to. However, I do think it was a supernatural time where it was like preservation. Like God was in control of this entire time. I don't know where they sat. I don't know where they lived. I don't know. I mean, did they get recessed? Did they? I mean, how did they not get bored? How did they not fight? I don't understand any of this. This had to have been a supernatural thing that hopefully one day God will like show me in heaven. And and I'll understand a little bit more. But
Have you heard my theory before?
no.
So this is my
about to?
theory.
This is
you're
gonna be
about to
good.
hear it. So there's things that we can talk about and just theorize and just have fun with it. But I do believe it was now don't quote me on this, but this is my thinking. I believe that it was more of a local flood. Like it wasn't a worldwide flood. To them, it was a worldwide flood
Sure.
because
So it was
all
their
they
whole
see
world. Yeah.
is that's their world. But they don't know that the world is round, that it's big, it's going
Sure.
around the sun. But to them, it was a worldwide flood. But to the bigger picture, I think it was more of a local flood. And I believe that in that area where a lot of the Bible stories come out of, there's not a whole lot of huge dinosaurs, and they only would have taken local animals rather than a koala all the way from Australia, or a raccoon all the way from North America, you know what I mean? Just like there wouldn't be those.
I wouldn't preserve a raccoon either.
It would have been just the local flood, and that's kind of like how I explain how you get all the animals in the world. It's like I think it's all the animals in their world, and that's locally, and that's kind of the one way that I explain. Now, do I believe dinosaurs existed in the Bible? Yes, I do. And that kind of goes.
Oh, where do you get that idea?
He set me up. So Job chapter 40, I'm going to read this to you because it's pretty amazing. Job chapter 40, Job is in the Old Testament. It's actually further along in the Old Testament, more in the center of the Old Testament, but the story actually happens earlier in the day. So.
Job is the guy who lived 2020 every single year.
Yeah. Yeah. So Job, just to recap Job's story, he got everything got taken away from him, not by God, but by the enemy to test Job, and God was like, fine, go ahead. And then so now Job is questioning God, and now God's responding to Job in Job chapter 40, and he describes this behemoth. And Job verse 15 says, "Take a look at behemoth, which I made, just as I made you." So bam, right there, we see this big monster. And then he describes this monster. It eats grass like an ox. You see its powerful loins and its muscles of its belly. Its tail is as strong as a cedar tree. The sinews of its thighs are knit tightly together. Its bones are tubes of bronze. Its limbs are bars of iron. And it's a prime example of God's handiwork. And only its creator can threaten it. The mountains offer its best food where the wild animals play, and it lies under a lotus plant hidden under the reeds in the marsh. And the lotus plants gives its shade among the willows beside the stream. It's not disturbed by a raging river, meaning it's big enough to be sitting in a raging river, and it's not concerned when the swelling Jordan rushes around it. So Jordan, when it's swelling, it's a big flood, and it's not disturbed, and it's actually just drinking it. No one can catch it, guard, or put a ring in its nose and lead it away. And like for me, like I've heard like people say, "Oh no, they're talking about an elephant." Well, I've never seen an elephant with a long tail. Oh, it's probably like hippopotamus again. It's a crocodile. No, I've never seen a crocodile
T-Rex.
eat. Yeah, it was T-Rex or some other dinosaur that that we see fossils of. But I think here there's a prime example that we see where we see the dinosaur in the Bible. And this would have been after Noah's time. So this dinosaur, survived the flood and was on that boat probably, ark.
My takeaway from this question with you guys, because we had fun talking about this even before we started shooting this, my takeaway is that you know, there are some things in the Bible that if you read that and you take it 100% literally, it does not appear to jive with other sort of like scientific understandings of the age of the earth, of the fossil record, of the, you know, prehistoric eras. Those things seem like they're in opposition to each other. And my encouragement for you guys is don't feel like you have to pick one or the other, like either I have my faith or I have a scientific understanding of the world. There's room for more nuance than that. And so these questions are good ones to ask, even if you are not satisfied with the answer you have at the time. Your faith as a follower of Christ does not rise and fall on how you interpret that passage of Job. You know what I mean? And so,
Or if you can't figure out where the pterodactyls lived.
yeah, if you can't figure out where the pterodactyls live, or if you can't figure out how God created the earth in 7
Right.
days, and then there are these fossils that seem to predate even that. Don't lose sleep at night over those things. These are interesting things to talk about, and they're on my long list of things I'm going to ask Jesus someday. When I have a few minutes of his time.
Yeah.
Got all
Good luck.
eternity, so I don't know.
Right.